Hi there, and welcome to Startup Central, the only show of its kind on Indian television dedicated, of course, to startups, innovation, technology, disruption, entrepreneurship. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's going to be here on your favorite channel at 6 p.m. every weekday. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the stakeholders of the community that we get on this show, the team that puts the show together, Startup Central team, thrives on constructive criticism. We want to keep hearing from you on how to take this show to the next level, what's missing, what we need to add, what we need to do differently. Write into us. Our email address right on top, suc@etnow.tv. And let's get straight down to business. Today it's all about crypto on Startup Central. We promise you we have an action-packed show lined up for you. And we're going to begin with the news that came in today of El Salvador becoming the first country in the world to recognize Bitcoin as a legal tender. The bill was actually passed with a supermajority in the Congress. And this news was broken by the president himself about the outcome of the vote on Twitter Spaces. There was a Twitter space that was on with literally the who's who of the crypto world. And it was in that Twitter space as well where we heard the president saying they will first begin by looking at $150 million of Bitcoins under the development trust. So that was one big development. And that has led to the Bitcoin also rebounding. We had seen cryptos yesterday, go down by 10 to 15%. So while the Bitcoin is rebounding based on this outcome, there's another pressure point, which is to do with, the US Treasury wanting more powers, more data as far as cryptos go. That's a day after the Department of Justice and FBI said it had been able to seize half of the Bitcoins paid as ransom by Colonial Pipelines. That's when we'd also seen, incidentally, commodity prices become more expensive. The third big development, and this is according to reports, that more crypto exchanges are looking to set up shop in India. I'm going to be discussing crypto with my two guests today. I'm being joined by Nishchal Shetty of WazirX. I'm also being joined by Sumit from CoinDCX. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us on today's edition of Startup Central. Sumit, let me come to you first. It's been seen as a historical day when it comes to El Salvador, but let's put it in context as well. Yes, it is the first country, but how much power globally does El Salvador enjoy? There's always a question of hegemony that also comes at play, but all of you in the crypto world says cryptos are borderless, cryptos are free of government control. So why will this have such a big impact?
Well, Nayantara, this is very interesting move. I think this is also very encouraging for all the global crypto ecosystem. And this is positive because now you are seeing a wave where these countries are also rushing towards, adopting Bitcoin. And with these small steps, I think Bitcoin is going to be more mainstream. The way I'm looking at this is, any country which gives Bitcoin, attention or who adopts Bitcoin will essentially be able to drive financial inclusion. In fact, there was some news I was reading that any crypto entrepreneur who wants to get permanent residency in El Salvador, right, they will have get access to that very easily. So, I mean, this is a way to attract capital. This is a way to attract investment and also innovation and also the overall economic development of the country. I think this is just one of the many countries, the first one as of now, but I think many other countries will join the forces and they will also start making Bitcoin mainstream. This is, I would say, is one of the many steps in that direction. There are various benefits. Any country who will adopt Bitcoin will try to also become a financial powerhouse of the future, and giving Bitcoin the attention will, and legitimacy will give a lot of benefits to the country who adopts it first, and they will have the advantages of attracting capital and also a lot of attention from the crypto entrepreneurs globally.
Okay, If I can now come to you, Nishchal, it's been described as a historical day, and we did see some things for the first time ever, right? The president on Twitter Spaces with stakeholders of the crypto community talking about it, how $150 million of bitcoins will be used. But I'm going to ask you exactly what I asked Sumit. It has become the first country. Yes, it's important in that sense. Yes, it's historical, but is it a game changer?
I think if you look at the status quo today globally, definitely El Salvador seems like a small nation, and the question is, why should we look at it as an important event? But every time there's a technological innovation or any disruption that happens, if history shows that there are always a few nations that can take advantage of that wave and drive towards a larger economic progress. And in that sense, this is something for every other nation to look up to figure out what are these small nations understanding and seeing in this whole crypto ecosystem that's causing them to jump over sooner than later. And I think the other important aspect is until now, like it's happening in phases. The first phase was where retail investors came in, and a lot of those on the sidelines were like, it's only retail. And then you saw 2020 and 2021 to a large extent, institutional players coming in. And people were a little more confident about this whole sector. And now what you're seeing is probably the start of nations or sovereign coming in, which sort of completes the cycle of who are going to be the major participants in this whole economic activity that is happening in the crypto ecosystem. So that way, this can be seen as one of those the moment for other nations to take notice and jump in. This has happened with the institutional players. We've seen one or two companies first initially started. It took a while, and then you started hearing of larger companies like Tesla buying $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So this might be one of those moments, which is probably a catalyst for other nations, large and small, to look at Bitcoin as a serious asset class, and maybe even bring in more regulation, which will probably foster this sector. The other important aspect is what they say is if you have 3 Bitcoins, you can come in and as an entrepreneur, and you can create companies. Now, to a regular entrepreneur, this might never have been a country they would have thought of. But now, because there is crypto and there is this opportunity, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs around the world would be now attracted towards El Salvador, and thus helping them probably create a Silicon Valley kind of a environment there. So I think net, it's a gain for them. And it's also a great thing for this whole crypto ecosystem, because we are going to now see a country experiment. Until now, we saw retailers experimenting, institutional players experimenting. Now let's see what country experiments lead to. Can they probably rapidly grow their GDP? Can they rapidly attract the best talent in the world? I think the next 12 to 18 months will be really interesting to watch out for.
Okay. And now I'm going to ask you both the same question. Sumit, what we had seen yesterday, and maybe that was to do with the fact that you had seen a crackdown by the Department of Justice and FBI. We still don't know all the details of whether the law enforcement agencies actually managed to get a private key, which we are told is next to impossible, or whether there was actually negotiations with a public ledger, with a crypto exchange, all of that. But what I would like to ask you is that you did see cryptos yesterday come down 10 to 15%, right? Today you're seeing them on the rebound. At one level, we all of you are saying the El Salvador decision is historical, but then why aren't you seeing a bigger rebound? So once again, I want you to put the decision in context, because if you look at the price and if you look at the being a game changer, you can't have it both ways, right?
Yep. If you ask me, right, there are various factors at play when it comes to the price. I think we have already seen a rebound of roughly 5%, 6%. Some people can say it's not as high as expected. but I think it's there are other external factors also at play. The market is sort of bearish right now. A lot of people, are thinking that Bitcoin will also see a little more correction. But I think if you talk about that current market cycle, even a 5 to 7% jump, I think it's reasonable. We could have, of course, expected higher, but I think it all depends on how the market perceives it. But I think even 5 to 7% rebound is a good enough, given the news. And this is again like one of the many steps. I think we will see a lot more news coming like this, and you will see a market reacting to it. It maybe not much higher, but roughly I think 5 to 10% correction is what I would also expect from a news like that.
What are your thoughts, Nischal? I want to ask you the same thing. I want to understand, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers want to understand that after cryptos are very volatile. So you see wild price swings sometimes, but then if you see what you are saying to be a game-changing move, why aren't you seeing wild swings in the positive side?
Look, I think that's a really difficult question to answer, but I think to a certain extent, what sometimes is way too obvious for people who are deep into that whole sector, and they hear a news and they're like, why is it not really blowing up? And I think that question is being asked by a lot of us. But the thing is, if you look at how these activities really happen, and easier is to just look at historic events. Even when institutional players started coming in, a lot of people who had deep insights into the crypto ecosystem were wondering why was the prices not really rising rapidly. And it only took eventually when you saw institutional players after player coming in, that the prices really started getting that upward movement. So this one country coming in, you've seen a 6% rise, but you've not seen a massive increase because it's going to take time. People will have to see more countries coming in. People will want to see how this evolves. This is more of the start. And I don't think we can expect prices to move rapidly just because one nation has come in. This could also be an anomaly. If you were to look at it from a conservative mindset, this could also be an anomaly. Now, will this be a trend or not? Only time will tell. And I guess that caution is probably the biggest reason why you're not seeing a crazy, let's say, a 20%, 30% spike. But the moment this one country changes to, let's say, 2, 3, 4, I'm sure that wild price swings will start again.
Okay. Now I want to take both your reactions on the other story. We said we'll discuss everything crypto, right? That is of new exchanges looking to set up shop in India. I'm sure you've all also seen those stories which have come in. So Nischal, let me come to you first. You had Binance buying out Vizier X long time back, right? And now you're looking at other global exchanges that are looking to set up shop in India. We don't have been able to confirm that at ET now. This is what other media outlets, global media outlets are suggesting. What does this indicate?
I think if you look at the Indian crypto ecosystem, it was pretty nascent back in, I would say, 2016, 2017, when the rest of the countries were really progressing in crypto. And the last 3 years, what has happened is, though we've heard a lot of negative news and probably there's fear, we've at least started in that regulatory path. And there's a lot of dialogue happening. There's a lot of discussions happening. What this has led to is the creation of a large crypto community. Now we have over 15 million people. It's become significant. Now we've spent, as all of us in the crypto sector, we've spent considerable time nurturing this community, creating this ecosystem, ensuring there are no bad actors. So it's sort of a clean, mature ecosystem. In fact, the kind of traders that you see now in India in the crypto sector, they're more mature than what it was previously. They're more informed. So this is seen as a very attractive ecosystem now, and where I guess companies around the world are hoping that they can come in and get some breakthrough. And the other important thing is the rate of growth. Indian market has seen one of the fastest rate of growth in the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months, in terms of number of people getting in. And I think that again is an indicator for a lot of people that this is time probably to take this market seriously and get in. Now, in parallel, my only request to even our government is that we should bring in regulations sooner than later as a nation, so that as more players come in, the country can ensure that the right kind of I would say regulatory and financial moves are done by any of the companies that set up shop in India. So I think regulation just becomes more important when you hear news like this.
But Sumit, we also understand that all of you who are already running crypto exchanges in India are looking at self-regulation. What we've also seen is that some of the most developed economies on this planet still don't have, proper regulations when it comes to cryptos. Just today, we're hearing how the US Treasury Secretary wants more data so that it can look which way any kind of regulations go. So till then, as far as self-regulations go, where are all of you when it comes to the exchanges?
Sure. So, Nayantara, we all exchanges together are following a self-regulatory code of conduct just to ensure that in the absence of regulations, the bad actors are out from the ecosystem, right? That's something that we we together as responsible exchanges, this is our responsibility, and we ensure that by following and implementing that self-regulatory code of conduct, there are several learnings we have had, and we learned from various stock exchanges, banks, and what are the things that they are implementing, what are the things that we can adopt as part of our protocols. Simple things like storing data, ensuring that the KYCs are done properly. We have AML KYC checks in place. So these things have become extremely important because in a crypto domain, right, you don't want the bad actors because that scares also the regulators, right? So that's something that we do. We implement it. I think the way we are looking at, and you mentioned a very important point, the regulation in crypto should be very fluid, right? Because the technology moves really fast, and regulations sometimes difficult for regulators to catch hold of that, because and then for that, what is important is you have a very fluid regulatory framework, something that keeps on evolving as there are technological development that happens. So our regulatory code of conduct is something that we have adopted by learning from different players in this space, and we will continue to evolve that as there are more technological advancements. For example, there's a travel rule. When it gets implemented, we'll try to implement some of those things. So it's a ongoing process. Apart from that, I think you also mentioned about these international exchanges trying to enter India. I think that's also a very positive move. It's good. Competition is healthy overall. It just increases the rate of innovation. We welcome them, but what we have noticed is that generally the local players or the players who are based out of that country have an advantage because of the trust that the local people have on local exchanges, especially it's about money. So government and even people would not want to keep their funds in an exchange or in a company which is not based out of India. So those are some of the benefits that Indian exchanges will get. We have done a lot of work in terms of making sure that right regulations come into the place, and even any exchange who's entering India market, we would also request them to follow the protocols, follow the self-regulatory code of conduct, and they are more than welcome to set up shop in India. It will only grow the ecosystem. It will only grow the industry.
So you think it'll bolster the ecosystem? So let's see how this one progresses. It's always a pleasure talking to both of you. Sumit and Nishchal, thank you so much for joining us on a day which all of you are saying is historical. El Salvador, agrees by supermajority in the Congress to give legitimacy to the Bitcoin. There are already reports coming in that Paraguay could be looking at it as well. You started to see a rebound of sorts in the crypto world. Till then, crypto exchanges in India going the self-regulation way. Thanks again for joining us live.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let's get to an ET Now exclusive from Deal Street. BharatPe, which is a Sunni coin and is the front runner along with Centrum to buy out PMC Bank, is looking at yet another acquisition. We understand it is looking to buy out Amazon's Payback. That's the company's name. Payback for $27 million. That's about 200 crore plus. What is Payback? Well, Payback is in the business of rewards and loyalty points for online as well as offline shopping. So we're being told that this deal could be announced any day now, and why it's important for BharatPe. Now, BharatPe has turned out to be one of the largest when it comes to acquiring merchants, kiranas, all of that. Its larger dream is to start using UPI to also give credit. That is supposed to be the next boom for fintech, and therefore this acquisition can tie in really well with that. So when it gives credit on top of UPI, it can also give rewards, it can also give loyalty points and all of that. Some of Payback's clients are the largest that you have in the space, including ICICI Bank, IndusInd Bank, Future Group. So it'll actually give BharatPe, this acquisition, the ability to break into bigger merchants, break into organized retail as well. In fact, when we were doing our research, we saw that a few months ago, BharatPe hired the CEO of Payback as its second president. On Payback's website, it says it has over 1 lakh crores of gross merchandise value, that's GMV, and that has been in the country for over a decade. BharatPe refused to comment on this ET Now exclusive story. And time to get to yet another ET Now exclusive, and this time it is with the top boss of Amazon India, who's also the global Senior Vice President. I'm talking about Amit Agarwal, who gave ET Now an interview on how Amazon can help in rebooting the Indian economy after the second wave of coronavirus. The plan is, for example, to work very closely with merchants, kirana stores, not just as fulfillment centers, but also to make them discoverable on the Amazon app. So very soon, maybe you'll be able to find them on your apps as well. As far as the big change of guard coming up next month, where the world's richest man, Jeff Bezos, will be no longer the executive chairman, not only because he's going to space, but because it's a decision that was announced earlier and of Andrew Jassy taking over. What is it going to mean for India? And of course, the recently released Family Man 2. How big was it? Here's an edited excerpt of our interview with Amit Agarwal.
Businesses in India are realizing that they need to serve the global market. Just last year, Amazon enabled $1 billion in exports from manufacturers in India across the customers across the world. So that is, we have crossed 3 billion in a lifetime. It took us 3 years for the first billion, 18 months for the next billion, and this billion has come in just 12 months. So clearly a distinct trend of manufacturers and brands in India wanting to go global. So these are some of the trends, and I think these are structural trends. These are things that are going to propel us faster towards a digital economy, towards digital businesses, more robust digital businesses, and towards Make in India going global.
Of course, the larger goal is to have $10 billion in exports by 2025. Mr. Agarwal, can I ask you one question? Today, if I were to see the things that Amazon offered also during the coronavirus, whether it is pharmacy deliveries that you got into, you started looking at entertainment more seriously, sports also for that matter, we heard about the streaming rights, EdTech. Is Amazon going to be a super app in India? Is it already a super app?
Well, we don't really think about these catchphrases out there. Our mission is very simple. We want to improve customers' daily lives and digitally empower business livelihoods out there. So from that perspective, we try to offer services to customers that improve their experience, provide them great selection, great value and convenience in anything that they find lacking. So from that sense, yes, you can on Amazon send money to your friends and relatives, pay your rent, pay your bills, buy movie tickets, buy travel tickets. You can watch videos on Mini TV, which we just recently launched a month ago, free ad-supported TV on Amazon, or just sign up for Prime and enjoy Prime originals that we have. You can get your grocery delivered, buy anything that you like, to even get your medicines delivered to you. So in that sense, we do like to make sure that we are improving daily lives of our customers, and we'll continue to do that. We want to make sure that customers can save time, save money, and get more convenience in their daily lives.